Welcome back to the Building Better podcast, brought to you by the HBA of Northwest Michigan. I'm Lauren Tucker, your executive officer. Thanks for joining us. I am so excited to introduce our next guest, Blake Waldecker from Waldecker Homes. Blake, welcome.
Thank you.
Blake, we're so excited to have you back in the parade this year. I am still just blown away by your first parade experience when I met you and you told me, hey, we might get this house done and we're having a baby all at the same time.
On the first one, I think we wrapped up on Sunday and we welcomed our baby boy in the next day.
Yeah.
So we went to that night actually, made it to the hospital and to have a wife that would be like, yeah,
she's incredible.
4 days past our due date, but we're going to roll the dice and have
no kidding. Like
parade.
We sat down, you told me, you're like, well, here's the deal. My wife's due literally during the parade.
Yeah, I think she's due Thursday. And
yeah.
But hey, she read the script. We made it to Sunday.
Oh my goodness. And I like your style. I like your style. Up
thanks.
for anything.
We're been married almost 11 years, and now this is, I think, our fifth or sixth house. So we're, I guess we're a glutton for punishment.
She rolls with it. And your second parade home. And
yes.
I've got to say, you kind of exploded after the first parade.
Yeah, we been blessed we continue to grow each year. I think that's a testament to kind of the people that we've worked with, the approach that we've taken, and, just trying to, I guess, do things the right way, take care of people, and we can get into that in a little bit of our overall process.
Yeah. So tell me how you got started in the industry.
Well, it was not a conventional way. I did not grow up with anybody in the construction industry or trades. My dad actually owned a lawn care company.
Oh, that's kind of skilled trades adjacent.
Yeah. So I think it was from my senior year of high school, going into college, I worked for a builder. I was basically was there to pick up trash and, what you'd be hired for.
Give you the magnet, pick up the
nails and trash and everything else. And so it was a really large scale project down in Holland. Just being on the job site and there's an atmosphere and the overall camaraderie and seeing what you're doing and building something that I just kind of started a fire in terms of being interested in that. Nothing really developed quickly from that. I did my 4 years, graduated from Grand Valley and didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I went to work for All Phase Electric Supply. And kind of
in sales,
dove into the residential side of electrical stuff. And I have to credit the manager at the time. He was into buying homes and kind of fixing them up and renting them. And so that's kind of how I got my start. My dad eventually loaned me some money to buy. Back then, I think my first house was under $100,000.
My first house was under $100,000,
yeah.
And I mean that is crazy and a thing of the past.
And it was, certainly a fixer upper, and so I did that, and from that point I was absolutely hooked.
Yeah.
So we fixed that up and sold it, and then I went to work for a framer that I had met at that summer job, and ironically enough, that same framer's son is now an employee of ours. So
that's awesome.
Full circle, pretty cool. But then, I don't know, that was our first house that we flipped. And then we did another, I went to work for that framer for about 3 years until Allison got into grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how I got my start. And it's been 5 houses since, ended up being a project manager for a company down in North Carolina and moved back. And it just has been kind of one step after another.
We're glad you moved back.
Well, I'd say we are too, except for these winters and cold springs. So
yeah, it's definitely been challenging, specifically this year. I know it's put a lot of people behind, delayed wise, whether it was too cold to work outside or the snow load was too great.
Yeah, well, we had our first real winter. I mean, quite frankly, since I've been back.
Yes.
So it's good and bad. But anyway, that was probably a long, drawn out version of how I got to where I am. But it's just been kind of one stepping stone after another, not trying to do anything too fast. And
Well, one of the things that I know just from getting to know you over the last couple of years is how thoughtful and intentional you are with all of the things that you do. And I believe that your communication is it's robust. And I think your customers have always said that is one of the things that sets you apart.
Yeah, that's definitely, I would say, the main driving focus or point. Like even as we continue to grow with the project managers, I mean, I tell customers, like when you take a house and you have imperfect people and you have imperfect materials, yet the expectation is a perfect house, that's not a reality. So like there's going to be, some bumps along the way. And the only way to, make sure that those don't turn into large problems is to communicate really well.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's been our driving focus in terms of, whether it's the financial side, the products that are being used, the approach in terms of like how things are going to be put together and the flow, overall schedule.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree. That's something that we've taken seriously. And even when things get really busy and hectic, which they always do, to fall, kind of have that to fall back on and always have that level of communication. And I also think it makes customers feel more comfortable working with you. Mm-hmm. You kind of like, here's who we are. And like, we're 100% open book about how we do things and how we approach things.
Joining us in the studio now is Brad Searles from James Hardie, another one of our amazing Parade of Home sponsors. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, Brad, tell us, what is the best thing about working for James Hardie?
Honestly, the breadth of solutions that we have for the exterior of the house. Mm-hmm. James Hardie purchased AZEK last year and finally integrated it all under one company. So there's really not a spot on the outside of the house that we don't have a solution for. So there's a ton of versatility with our product offerings, and then the high quality of the materials and stuff that we produce. We're kind of number one in the market when it comes to hardboard siding.
That's awesome. So for those of us out in listening world that may not know what AZEK is,
yes,
it is composite decking, right?
So that is TimberTech.
TimberTech.
Which is owned by AZEK, which is now owned by James Hardie. But they also do PVC trim applications. So there are fiber cement on the James Hardie side, and then through AZEK we have PVC trim solutions and decking, which also has PVC composite and all the railing. We also own structure, which is outdoor pergolas. So pretty much everything outside the house we can have a solution for.
One-stop solution. Mm-hmm. So are there different types of James Hardie siding?
Yes. So there's, on the fiber cement, the material is going to be similar, but there's different applications for it. So there's Hardie plank, which is a lap siding. Mm-hmm. And then there's Hardie panel, which you can use for board and batten. We have an artisan line that gives a little bit of a thicker profile, deeper shadow lines that allows you to miter your corners and give you a high-end look. And then we have an architectural panel that lends itself to more modern design. So you can do a panel and channel type of look that competes in the stucco market. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different types with the James Hardie fiber cement. And then when you switch over to AZEK, there are PVC siding solutions and trim applications and all sorts of stuff.
So you're kind of covering the whole spectrum from the design side, but then also now you've got options for the budget friendly.
Correct. And what it lends itself well to is in trim applications, you can actually go into ground contact on the PVC side. So people can use the fiber cement for the good aesthetic, and then for some of those problem areas, put in a PVC trim piece that is going to end up or hold up well on the moisture side of things, mm-hmm. And give you an overall beautiful aesthetic.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, where should people go if they want to look at James Hardie products?
Right along the lakeshore. Honestly, we hold up very well in the harsher weather. So if you're driving along Lake Michigan, just take a look at the houses, and a good amount of them have James Hardie on.
Well, we definitely have weather up here.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Awesome. And any dealers here in town where people can purchase James Hardie products?
Yep. Pretty much anywhere you buy your building materials, you can get James Hardie. So we use a two-step distribution model. So we have wholesale distributors in the area that provide access to material to all the local dealers. So
Awesome.
whoever you're currently purchasing through, you can leverage that partnership and get some James Hardy.
I know James Hardy has some very beautiful products, and it's great. You're going to have to cut this part out, Jordan, because I totally lost my train of thought, which doesn't normally happen. But getting back on track here. So, Brad, what is your favorite part about partnering with the HBA?
You.
Me? I love to hear
If I'm
that.
being honest, I cover a good amount of the state, and there's a lot of HBAs that I am involved with. I would say your passion and drive for the community and the building industry up here is kind of unmatched.
Wow.
From what I've come across. So
I'm speechless.
I like how dedicated you are, and you don't seem to shy away from any person or anybody. You engage and keep driving the business forward. So,
Well, man, that is a huge compliment. Thank you. That is my goal. I mean, our members, all of them are so special. They provide us with time, talent, treasure. It makes our mission move and grow. And I just want to show up for them because they show up for me.
mm-hmm. And the HBA does a lot of great things for the building community in general. I know at the state level, they've won a couple big lawsuits
Yes.
on the east side. That helps the building industry as a whole. So as much as we can advocate for things in that side and help support, going to bat for the builders and the remodelers in the area, that's what I want to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't have said it better. I didn't even pay you for this. But our members, our community.
It's never too late.
Yeah, they're building America, and it is awesome to be able to support them and help them and be their voice.
Yes, and working for a company like James Hardy, it's really easy to be in a sales role because I believe in the product that I present. So it doesn't even really feel like sales. It just feels like offering solutions because I'm confident in the quality of the product that I produce. So, it helps being a big name in the industry, but there's a reason that name is so big because, we stand behind the product and it performs well.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Well, Brad, thank you so much. Thank you for the support that allows us to keep doing things like this, sharing your story, supporting the builders, supporting our community. And folks, we'll see you at the parade. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to see in this year's parade home.
Yeah, so this, I just kind of told you about how my wife and I are glutton for punishment. So in terms of continuously, like I said, 11 years of marriage in our fifth house. So last summer, she was like, hey, I want to find a nicer spot on the lake. So this is actually our personal house again. And so last September, we got possession and we were demoing it like the next day after possession.
Okay.
So it happened pretty quick. We're going to have this one. I mean, if it's obviously we'll be ready for the parade. So about 10-month turnaround time, which is fun. So it's an existing footprint. We made some modifications to the house. And so there was, I don't want to say a struggle, but when it's a new build and you're not really handcuffed into anything,
right?
Compared to when you have an existing footprint and you kind of have an idea of how you want things to lay out.
Yep.
It becomes a little bit of a challenge when how you want things to lay out don't fit that footprint.
Right.
So, but no, we got it. I think we got it pretty dialed in. One of the big things for us is, and I think anybody that lives on a lake, in the summertime, you want to have kind of that inside outside feel, the flow of being able to. If you're coming off the beach, an accessible bathroom, when it's time for lunch, having a place that, you can easily do that without it feeling
the entire beach into
exactly.
the house.
I was gonna say, so
it's a losing battle.
Well, especially with our young kids and a dog, we lose that battle too. But so that was kind of our focus is having a spot that you could hang out, both like kind of indoor and outdoor. It has a large covered deck. You can grill on, hang out, and then, the kitchen is right there. So that was our main focus. We ended up it was originally a ranch, and it was originally a daylit basement.
Okay.
So we ripped out the whole lakeside wall, put in a new foundation so that we could have a walkout. And then on the main level, that's kind of just more or less suited for kitchen, living room, hanging out. And then we did a single bedroom there with everything is zero clearance on the main floor.
Nice.
Kind of an aging in place, idea, or just in general, a spot where grandpa and grandma can stay, or both Allison and I have had some surgeries where going up and down the stairs would probably, be problematic, and just have a place for that. So being thoughtful in how we design that. And then the basement is just a hangout spot, exercise room with a bathroom off the lake. So
Sweet.
yeah, I think it came together for, like I said, sticking with that footprint and being handcuffed in a few ways. I think it came together pretty well.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see it. And in your first parade home, we had a lot of high-tech features. Are we going to see that again?
Yeah, there's, I guess it's going to be a little bit different. We use a different system. But yeah, lighting controls are part of that. So, which is interesting in that you don't see that, I guess, all too often in residential homes. We just enjoy it because it's programmable.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you go to put a switch in, if you made a mistake, and let's say you have 4 buttons, and one of those is whether you never use it or, gosh, I wish I really had this. Well, you
can add it.
Yeah, you switch out that plate, reprogram it, and you can do whatever you want. So,
Interesting.
I enjoy the flexibility of that. I enjoy being able to control everything from my phone. And so, yeah, we're excited. We added some, like I said, different system, but overall same concept.
Awesome. All right. Well, Blake, we're so excited to see this year's project, and thanks so much for coming in and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And now a quick word with our exclusive auto dealer sponsor, Watson Motors. Joining us is Calvin Ingleston from the Commercial Sales Division. Hi, Calvin.
Hey, how are you doing this morning?
It is so great to have you in here. We're so excited to have Watson part of the parade this year.
Well, happy to be here.
So the judges are going to be touring around in one of the vehicles provided by Watson.
That is correct.
Do you know what they're going to be riding in?
I think it's going to be a Grand Wagoneer, something along those lines.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be something nice for you guys.
My family had a Wagoneer when we were growing up, and it was
Okay.
my favorite vehicle, and I'm so excited to see that Jeep brought that back.
Yeah, they've come a long ways from that. It's a very nice luxury vehicle.
I cannot wait. I promise I will return it.
Well, you can buy it too. I mean, that's a possibility.
Maybe. I see opportunity for an HBA vehicle here.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Calvin, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the industry.
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to be with Watson Motors coming up on 10 years now. I started right out of high school. I went through NMC automotive program.
Yes.
Yes, I at one point I was going to be a technician, had all my tools, all that stuff, and worked in the shop for a while. One thing led to another. I ended up being a service advisor, helping run the service department. And then an opportunity arose to join the sales team. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago I'd be selling cars, I'd say you'd be crazy. But here I am, and I love taking care of the commercial clients and helping them grow their fleet.
Oh, that's amazing. And that story really resonates with me and probably many of our members, because that's the way it works in many of the trades industries. Is you get in working your way all the way up to the top. And sometimes it takes you places you just never knew.
Yeah, like I said, I never would have dreamed that I'd be selling cars. And I don't see myself as, selling cars. I'm more of I just help businesses fulfill their needs. I mean, vehicles it's a big, expensive tool more than anything. And, it's important that someone's there to help the business, because they have different needs than a retail customer does.
Absolutely. And we're so glad to have you as a great HBA partner.
Oh, yeah.
And especially the program that we have through our National Association for Fleet Vehicles.
Yeah.
Even just one vehicle is considered a fleet, as we know many of our members, especially in our area, are single man operators.
Yeah, and we treat it, whether you have a fleet of 50 or a fleet of 1, they're equally as important. And I mean, it's especially if you have 1 or 2 vehicles, a vehicle is your livelihood to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And we want to be there to help take care of you, whether it's service work or we need to replace the vehicle. I mean, our slogan is, we make it easy, we come to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Calvin, we appreciate you coming here today and sharing your story. Folks, if you want more information on how you can use your HBA membership to reduce the cost of your fleet vehicles, definitely give Calvin a call. Go see the team there. And thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, no problem. Happy to be here.
Today, I'm welcoming back Mike Elya from Elya Construction Company to talk about his parade entry this year. Mike, welcome back to the studio.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
So you're no stranger to being on the show, but this time we're going to be talking specifically about a home that you've built that you're going to be showcasing in the parade. But, not everybody knows you as well as I do. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you started Elya Construction Company and a little bit about your team?
Well, I started at the bottom as a laborer. I initially was a oil field worker, putting up steel buildings in the oil field. So we would fabricate steel wall panels and trusses in the shop and take them out in the field and set them up, and then transitioned into residential construction in 2004. And then 2006, I had been doing enough side jobs and things on the weekends to where it rolled into a full-time thing. And but yeah, started at the bottom and just worked my way up. Started working on the back of a two-door Tahoe and then a truck, and then over time just added equipment, and here I am.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say your equipment always looks the best. I can always pick you guys out of a crowd. I love your logo, love your marketing. Your trailer is the cleanest trailer I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it helps. It helps instill confidence when you're working with higher end clients, or people are usually making a large investment on a project and they don't want to see a trash can on wheels or a rust bucket in the driveway. So we do take a lot of pride in our appearance and how we carry ourselves, and we do use good equipment and take good care of it.
Yeah. I love that you bring the trailer to the expo, and you've won Best Booth, voted on by people that attend the expo, definitely not from us, but 2 years in a row. And this year, thank you so much for sponsoring the Kids Corner. I think it's the best Kids Corner we've ever had.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I've enjoyed bringing the trailer and showing it off because I've seen others like it on the internet, but I've never seen one in person. So we do take pride in that. And it was nice to show it off. It's nice to get the feedback, and it was nice getting those awards both years. But I'd like to get an award for a home, rather than the job trailer. So although that's nice,
this is your first year. You got a chance.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated the fact that you brought the trailer because it was so brutally cold while we were setting up and loading in for Expo, and Mike's trailer was the warming station. Yeah,
we've got heat. We've got heat in there, so keep things warm in the wintertime, keep the caulks and the paints and the different things usable.
That's awesome.
On job sites. So, yeah, it's nice to have. It's one of those things where you catch the employees hiding in there, spending too much time under the heater sometimes.
Guilty.
It's all right.
Well, you have a winter like we just had, and that's a nice feature. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this year's home. We're going to be in Wexford County.
Yep. Yeah, it's in Cadillac, outside of town, and it's a 1,200 and let me back up. So the client has family hunting property, about 80 acres, and he's always came up to the family trailer, and it's old. And now that he's getting older, all his hunting buddies are older, and they wanted something more comfortable, and he'd like to have his wife up, and she won't come up and stay in the
I cannot blame her. I can't blame her.
Yeah, so they're calling it a hunting cabin, but it's a 1,250 square foot, just a stick-built home with an attached garage. And
nice.
But they have what kind of sets it apart, I guess, is the decor and some of the selections on the interior. They've done. We went with a cabinet maker that we met at the expo a couple years ago, an Amish guy that specializes in rustic hickory cabinets with live edges and half-round log casing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice. It's unique, and homeowners really like that. So we went with him on the cabinetry, and we met another supplier at the Manistee Expo this year. We're getting a bunch of end-match tongue and groove barnwood for the project from him, and some nice doors that match the decor. And
awesome.
They've gone through and selected all of their all of their lighting and their furniture and all that kind of just goes with the theme. A lot of deer antler stuff and a lot of rustic cabin type
Awesome.
selections. So it's going to be nice.
And it's so neat when you can customize the home specifically for who's going to be using it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see those hickory cabinets, this beautiful wood.
Yeah, it started off as it's a basic layout, and it was just going to be a simple, basic spot to crash when they're hunting. And then over time, it's progressed, and they really stepped it up on a lot of their selections to make it have that rustic cabiny feel. So
What's the exterior look like?
that is a vertical board and batten, a steel siding, really nice. It's a wood grain. It's like they call it aged cedar. It's so it's a black roof, white aluminum soffit, fascia, white doors, and then this. It looks like barnwood, and it's got a gray and kind of a gray and black and white.
That's a newer thing that we're seeing a lot of because that standing steel really stands up the test of time.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be refinished all the time, but you still maintain that natural wood look.
Yeah, for sure. And it's there's a lot of wood grain metal material out there that just looks, fake or hokey, but this stuff really does. It really looks nice. Yeah, It's going to be a nice feature, and it's going to be a lifetime siding that they won't have to maintain.
Well, the good news is parade goers are going to be on the east side of Grand Traverse County, Kalkaska, west side of Kalkaska County, and it'll be just a quick little trip down to check out your place in Wexford. What should we call this? Is it like Hunter's Paradise?
No, they call it the Cadillac Cottage.
The Cadillac Cottage.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it. So.
Awesome. We can't wait to see it. Mike, I also want to extend my huge thanks for all that you do in support of the HBA and the HBA Foundation. You're definitely committed to our industry. All of the positions in leadership at HBA are volunteer, and we are so appreciative to have you as one of our awesome volunteers. So thank you. As we get wrapped up here, what's your favorite feature that you're in this house that we should look for?
I would say the cabinetry. The cabinetry is really unique. It's really nice. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll keep an eye out for that, and make sure to visit Elya Construction's home here in Wexford, parade entry this year, the Cadillac Cottage. You won't be disappointed. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Thank you.